Mr. Jackson in the house? Can we please?
Dr. Jackson.
Doctor
Jackson.
Do you concur, Doctor? Doctor. All right, let's begin the presentation on LCAP goal number 3, quality leadership, teaching, and learning. Superintendent Cindy Martin.
Thank you, President Beiser. As we begin the next session on Goal 3, the quality leadership, teaching, and learning, we're going to do what we do at each of the goal areas. It's important that we see what they look like in action, so we've invited school principals for each of these goal areas to help us see a quality school in every neighborhood in action. So today we have from Gage Elementary Principal Kathy Burns. Thank you for being here to help bring to light what this looks like in action. And after your presentation, we'll move over to, there it is, there you go. And then we'll have Dr. Jackson and Ms. Birmingham present on what our areas are our focus. So thank you for being here.
I think it's on. Okay. Thank you for inviting me. First of all, when I heard about this, one of our parents nominated us for this, who also happens to work in the district. And I
Is your
reflected
microphone on?
Is it on? Is
A
it
little
on?
close. There you go. Thank you.
When I reflected on this, first of all, I have to say I was surprised because when I think about the quality leadership, I don't think of it as me and as the leader. It's a community leadership that we have at Gage. So our leadership at our school includes our parents, it includes our staff, it includes our students, and it includes our community. So we have a shared leadership, and all of it is working towards the same goal, which is why I chose the quote that I have up there, because it is our community belief that if we work together, we're going to create the vision that we want. And so we started out years ago. One of the things that we realized when all of this started is we needed to change, because we had ended up with a population in 11-12, we were down to 380 students. And we were in danger of either looking at closings, that was rumored, and then there was also the rumor of having to share our campus with a charter school. And so my first step was talking to my staff and my community about that. And we decided, we need to think of something, because we were losing kids to other programs that had something catchy, something that interested them. So we worked together, and we actually did a book study, and we looked at the global leadership gap. And then we also looked at the fact that Forbes did a survey of the Fortune 500 companies, and they looked to see what are those qualities that you need in your leaders. So we went based on that, and one of the things that we noticed is, we need to have a program that encompasses all those things. So our first step was to start with our Spanish immersion program. And based on that, we started with our kinders. So we started from the ground up, and one of the things that it took in order to create this is, first of all, collaboration and communication. We had to keep our parents and our students and our community informed all the way through this, and we had to be willing to take their feedback. And so when we saw something that wasn't working, or when they saw something that wasn't working, then we, as a staff and a group, we addressed that and we changed it. We ended up taking a look at, as we go through and we continue to grow the program, what's working and what isn't working. So it's that continual assessment to determine what do we like that's going on, what concerns are being brought up, what changes do we need based on the assessment, because we expected our Spanish immersion students to achieve at the same level as our non-Spanish immersion program. So we actually had 2 parallel programs going at the same time. And so we relied on our DRA data and our math data as we continued to grow. One of the things that we did need to have is a really strong ILT, because one person cannot make the determination of how things, what's in the best interest of all people. So we had our ILT, and a very strong ILT that we would collaborate and we would plan on what was going on, and then they would take it back and they would lead their group. And so the PLC worked really nicely in that. So we've got PLCs that are very high functioning, they're based on data, and they're connected, but they also are individualized. So we all have a school goal, we're working towards that goal, And then they take a look at their student data and make their adjustments based for their grade level. One of the other things that we had to learn how to do, which was really tough for some of us, is we had to learn to market our school. I didn't go to school for marketing. And so we had to rely on those people in our community. So if you take a look back on the first slide, the pictures there are really significant to our program. First of all, down in the corner, that's our original marketing pamphlet that we sent out to parents. So we had to actually find names and addresses of all people in our community within 10 miles that had kinders for the next year, and we sent a mailer out to it. That was designed by one of our parents.
Wow.
The photos were taken by one of our parents. We started using, like sprucing up our campus, and we have all these murals all over our campus. All the murals are done by one of our parents who's an artist. We also have the veteran celebration. So one of our parents came to us and was very passionate about veterans because her husband is a veteran. So we've turned our Veteran Week into a very elaborate celebration where we really honor those people. That's done by another parent. And then our community started getting involved. So one of our local realtors, she came around and said, you know, how can I help? What can I do? We've got lots of businesses that are coming in and trying to work with us in order to make this a better place for all of our kids. So as this happened, what we ended up with is we've got a Spanish immersion program that is now TK all the way to 4th grade. And we've gone from a school that was looking for kids to come to now a school that doesn't have a room for everybody that needs to come there. But we also have another group of kids at the school that are not Spanish immersion, and those teachers and parents and community members started saying, well, what about us? And so we worked together with them and said, you're right, what about you? What's your passion? What do you think you want? And so now we've got 2 parallel tracks going. We've got the STEM track and we've got the Spanish immersion track. And our community members, and when I say community, I mean parents, students, teachers, everybody, have been instrumental in developing the program. So we've got parents from the Spanish immersion side that are scientists. So they're out there looking for assemblies that we can have that are STEM-based, that make sense. They're creating lessons that other parents can come in based on gardening and science of gardening that they can come in and do with our kids. So I think what's really been helpful is that we've asked our parents to find out what their passion is and then to come and share it with the kids and fit it where it fits into our program.
Thank you so much for explaining and showing us what leadership looks like and how you've distributed it across the entire school community. That, like you said, it's not just the principal. You've distributed that leadership and making a powerful community statement by doing that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. As Principal Burns just suggested, it is really a collaborative effort. And the next part of the presentation is really about our growth and development process that we have joined hand in hand with SDA, and I have my partner and Lindsay Birmingham, who I want to first thank for her tenure as a president. As you all know, or many know, she will be back in the classroom, falling in love with her first love, teaching and learning. And so on behalf of our district, Lindsay, I want to say thank you for being an incredible partner, and thank you for blazing this trail with us around a growth and development system that we think will really influence the way we see teaching and learning going forward. So just a little bit of background. We'll do it briefly, and then we'll get into our next steps. The growth process started back in 2015, and Lindsay's going to talk a little bit about that going forward. We work in partnership with the San Diego County Office of Education. They facilitate our symposiums. They also facilitate our intersessions, and Lindsay's going to talk about the content of those meetings. And but what this is really about is us working together in a collaborative effort to really design a growth and development process for our educators in partnership with evaluators and professionals on the campus, focused on teacher growth, student learning, and so we're going to talk about that. We launched a prototype In 16-17, we had a number of our schools that we shared with the school board. We had 100 educators participate. And when we presented to the board last year, I remember President Beiser, you mentioned we had a large number of schools that we were thinking about piloting, and you suggested that we think about that number. We have done so. We've extended our pilot in terms of making sure that we can do it well rather than going fast. We're going to slow it down, and we're going to go slow to go fast. And we're going to make sure that we are invested with the number of schools, with the number of educators that we need to. So that's what we're going to present today. I know where this is working. Am I going too fast?
No, you could never go too fast with our time schedule we're on right now.
One of the critical components that I want to mention, I'm not going to cover the whole slide, is that the real emphasis here and the foundation for the growth and development is based on the California standards for the teaching profession. Very clear, laid out for us, and everyone is aware of them. You go through teacher training, you're familiar with them, and what we recognize is as educators go through the system, they become less familiar with them. And so this is a great foundation for us as we move forward. In addition, we'll be looking at standards for non-classroom professionals as well. I'm toggling between presentation. You're going to do this one? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Another point of emphasis for the growth and development process is training and support, and as I mentioned earlier, collaboration and calibration with our SDA unit members and district administration. It will include evidence of teaching and student learning from multiple sources, and I think that's a critical piece that we have left out for many, many years in terms of the Stoll process and the Act of 1971, 40 plus years ago. We recognize we need to think about our students and the learning process. We need to think about our educators and their growth and development from beginning to end.
So the purpose of our committee's work is really to develop a growth-based system. We've had our Stoll system for over 30 years, and there haven't been many changes to it yet. Our profession and our students are constantly changing, and so we want to ensure it's a growth-based system to support educators wherever they are in their career and help them grow, improve from where they are, support them from where they are so that they can move on to the next step. But at the same time, also strengthen our knowledge, skills, and practices to improve student learning, which is our ultimate goal as educators in this district, is to ensure our students are learning, succeeding, and achieving. So a quick overview, as Lamont said, we started back in 2015. 17-18, this school year, has been a planning year for us. Because of the bargaining process we've been in, we've had to adjust our calendar a little bit. We wanted to have time to look at what happened in the pilot, make adjustments, the prototype, and make adjustments for the upcoming pilot. We've studied throughout these meetings best practices. We've been able to look at examples from multiple districts across the state. We actually got to hear presentations from those districts, to hear it firsthand, because it's one thing to see it on a PowerPoint or an article, but we actually got to talk to those educators, those district administrators, and see what they were doing and what was working or not working for them. We've defined effective practices, looked at multiple measures, and also discussed the stakeholder input. We've surveyed our educators, we've surveyed administrators to see really what they need out of the system. And then really, ultimately, we're working to develop the San Diego Unified Growth Plan through collaboration, and that's been another big part of these meetings. It's not just our educators learning about it or district administration, but actually learning about these things together, learning from one another, and growing through this process. Some of the key components that we want to make sure are part of this new professional growth system include the opportunity for constructive dialogue throughout not only the writing of goals, but throughout the entire process, ensuring that there's opportunities for dialogue, collaboration, and risk-taking. That means we have to ensure that our school sites have climates, cultures of trust and respect where people are willing to take risks, because taking risks is what's going to ultimately help them to grow. Also, we want to ensure that these are based on evidence of teaching and student learning from multiple sources. Just like our students shouldn't be measured by one single test score, Our educators, there's many different ways to measure them, through observations, through videos, through assessments, multiple different ways, and want to ensure that there's opportunities for multiple measures. Also differentiated along the career continuum. A new educator might need something much different than a 10-year educator or a veteran educator, and ensuring.
Board members trying to follow along, this is actually page 89 on the PowerPoint handout. Not 87 as it says.
So differentiated along the career continuum, ensuring that every educator, no matter where they are in their career, has opportunities for growth and opportunities for support, instead of a one-size-fits-all approach, which is how our STOL process has been used in the past at some sites. And then ultimately, at the end of this pilot process, we're going to ensure that this new professional growth system is part of our collective bargaining agreement, because that is a legal document that we can hold each other accountable for, ensuring that we're following what we've agreed upon.
And one note about that, the nice thing for us, and I believe SDA is our President-elect Keisha Borden coming into SDA, has been a part of the E3 project, growth and development along the way. And I continue to ask Lindsay to continue her partnership with us. That's still in progress.
To be determined.
We're just going to throw it out here right now, just to keep throwing it out there.
The foundation of the growth model is really based on, as we mentioned, student learning, teacher practice, and professional contributions, what our educators are doing beyond the four walls of the classroom.
So some pieces that were part of the pilot and that we're looking to expand in the prototype are strategies that educators can use to demonstrate their growth. So our previous system was a lot based on observations. That's still something that is important. It's important for not only administrators to have the opportunity to observe educators, but also for fellow educators to have the opportunity to observe their colleagues and their peers. Also the opportunity for self-reflection. Being able to look at a rubric, look at your goals, where are you right now, and where do you want to get to? From there, goal setting, ensuring that we are setting goals. We talked a little bit earlier about risk-taking, ensuring the goals that we're setting are encouraging us to take risks and are encouraging us to take that leap to the next level. And then another example would be something like a lesson study, where you can work together with your colleagues and peers, plan a lesson, teach it, reflect on it, change that lesson in order to improve it and ensure you're meeting the needs of your students. Other strategies include the use of videotaping, which can help alleviate some of the time management concerns on how does an administrator get into so many classrooms when there's so much going on and so much on their plates. Also, looking at curriculum development. This is part of what Lamont was talking about. How can we make a professional contribution to public education to our colleagues? We can work on developing new curriculum. And then also attending professional development and demonstrating how that applies to your practice and in your classroom. The professional growth system, where we are so far, so we've done the prototype. We had about 100 educators that participated in the prototype in 16-17, where they tried on some of these strategies that I just talked about. We also, throughout the process, wanted to make sure there was ways for them to provide us feedback. So they not only had online feedback opportunities, but also in-person forums where they could meet with some of the people on the committee, let us know how things were going. And then what we did is we modified, changed, gathered that input, and are now ready in 18-19 to launch our pilot. The pilot schools, we're in the process of identifying those pilot schools. We will have one group that will pilot in 18-19 and another group that will pilot in 19-20. And so the questions come up, why not all have them pilot in 18-19? We want to make sure we're able to effectively support those schools that are piloting, because it's a change. It's going to take professional development. It's going to take support in learning these new strategies, and want to make sure that our committee, as well as district staff, is able to support those schools in the pilot. So that's why we've broken it up into 2 years. Then after that pilot, we will take all of that feedback again that we got, online feedback plus in-person feedback, modify, change, gather all of that information to be ready for implementation after that.
So as Lindsay mentioned, our goal was to identify 30 to 32 schools. Lindsay and I continued to work through the identification of schools, but there were many schools who put in their school, and teachers have agreed to participate. So we are doing that. We looked at a cross-section of elementary, middle, K-8 schools, our high schools, as well as our alternative schools to be able to participate. The pilot will be focused, as I mentioned, around the CSTPs, the growth plan around all CSTPs. However, through the prototype, we went with CSTP 1, Standard 1, and in the pilot, we're going to be including Standard 6. So it'll be CSTP 1 and 6, and teachers will develop a goal around those. Not all of them, but thinking about how to combine those. They'll use 5 strategies. They'll be able to select from portfolio building, lesson study, peer coaching, those types of things in terms of common assessment, so we can narrow some of the elements rather than going big. We're going to go small and really build those out. And then really a great deal of feedback came around participation from, or participating, came back to us suggesting that principals needed to participate to greater capacities with their educators. And that was incredible feedback from teachers. They really want their principal to be involved in their growth and development process. The pilot support, one of the key components is that we will have multiple sessions for training for pilot schools. We'll also have 2 retreats for pilot schools to participate in. We'll have 4 full days that are aligned to our principal institutes. While the principals are learning in the morning, the educators can participate in their PLCs, working with their colleagues, and then the afternoons we'll have differentiated learning where pilot schools can come together and do some of this work. So it's not in addition to, but it is a part of their work that they're doing throughout the year. Again, we're aiming for approximately 180 teachers. As I said, the morning and the afternoon sessions, and we'll have 3 checkpoints where we can go out and actually have face-to-face interviews with folks so that we can receive feedback from them, so that we can build out our second year of our pilot and ultimately look into implementation in 2021. So again, we're going to continue to have surveys. We'll make sure that we have processes for ongoing feedback, and we'll have reflection sheets after each professional learning opportunity. We'll do interviews. We'll have online surveys. So many, many ways to access educators so that we can get the greatest amount of feedback. So our next steps, again, as Lindsay mentioned, we're going to implement a first-year pilot this year with the second year in 1920. And most of this we've covered. I want to highlight here. The ultimate goal is that we launch our growth system in 2021. The other piece that I want to mention to the board is a big part of the support for school sites and principals are allowing the school sites who participate in E3 to be a priority for selecting schools for our student-centered coaching cycle that you heard earlier in goal number 1. So we provide that wraparound support. There was a question around how do you ensure this with the resources, and I think our superintendent mentioned that it's how we use our resources, not having more resources, and so that was a great strategy that the team, the E3 committee, along with our partnership with our chief of staff, really brought forward, and we all agreed that that would be a good strategy. Thank you.
Thank you very much for succinctly putting that presentation 40 minutes into about 20.
We do have a couple, 2 speakers, Amy Redding and Bill Oswald. You have 2 minutes each.
First, on a personal note, I am super excited about this pilot. I think this pilot has potential for a huge impact on teaching and learning throughout the entire District of San Diego Unified, so I can't wait to see how this plays out. Now in my Kearney role, we desperately need trauma-informed care training at our school sites. more training with regards to restorative justice practices. Principal trainings need to include a clear org chart, how to create a family-friendly school environment from enrollment to the last day of school, and a quality service handbook that is in a living document format. We need more teacher training to continue capacity building. We have a new generation of teachers in the classroom that have not experienced the I-21 technology training that we had when we were doing the first big push with I-21. We need to offer more flexible training schedules for items like the Linked Learning Summer Institute. How can we make this training available, not just during the very beginning of the summer? And we need more online trainings. It gives another entry point to receive training, and it helps maintain the integrity of the message. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Good afternoon. My name is Bill Oswald. I'm with the Global Action Research Center, but I'm here today to speak on behalf of the parents and community and students from the Crawford and Hoover clusters who participated throughout the year up until and including the community dialogue we had in February. First, I'd like to applaud the folks for the work in the LCAP around increasing the diversity of the teaching staff. That's a big issue in these clusters, so the efforts that are laid out there to bring in a wider variety of folks is really helpful. Because as we all know, that it doesn't matter what the policies are if you don't have good teachers in the classroom. So our concern is that whether or not there is equity in quality of teaching across the clusters. So we're asking the district to take a look at some issues to give us some assurances that we're all getting quality teachers. We're asking them to look at things such as the teachers' degrees and additional certifications, teachers' years experience. But in addition to that, we want the look at the teacher's experience working with specific populations of students served, teachers' cultural background, ethnicity and language, particularly in relationship to the students served. My youth group just surveyed 300 youth in City Heights. They came from 24 countries, they spoke 23 languages, and only 55% of them identified English as the language they were most comfortable speaking. So we need we need teachers that reflect that. In addition to the teachers, we also want the district to be looking at the turnover rate. We hear consistently that there are too many substitutes in the classroom, so we'd like to look at the turnover rate for both teachers and administrators. I realize it seems like every time we turn around there's a different principal. I don't think there's been a principal at Mann, Hoover, or Crawford that's lasted more than 3 years. That doesn't work in a community like City Heights. We want to look at the number of temporary and teacher contracts offered in each cluster and the number of substitutes offered each term, and we'd like to see how that looks across the clusters.
Thank you for your comments. At this point in time, we need to change out the cameras, and so we'll take a 5-minute break so that the cameras can be changed out, and then we'll go to board member comments or questions. We are in recess for 5 minutes. Seats. Okay, let's go ahead and start with board member comments or questions with Dr. Michael McQuarrie. Go ahead, Dr. Michael McQuarrie.
I've had an opportunity to ask a lot of my questions, and I just want to thank the team. I think I'm also excited, as Amy said, to see this process. It raises the whole level of what we need to do in order to expand the professionalism of the craft and the art of teaching and learning, and to have our district partner with our teachers and our administrators and on a process that's going to be built on growth and on expansion, and I think it's so exciting. So and I'm also now I'm just absolutely thrilled, but looking forward to the outcome and how we can make this happen across the district in a go slow but go fast way. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Evans?
All right, first I want to thank you for the presentation on Gage Elementary. It's another great example of a quality school and what happens in the community. And obviously it's the parents and the teachers and principal and everybody working together that is making that happen. And I've had the privilege to go there and talk with some of the people there and know that they really are serious about what they're doing in the neighborhood. So that's another great example. I just want to congratulate Lamont and Lindsay and all of the team that has worked on this collaboration for a teacher evaluation system. You know, with all of the foes of public education who would like to foist various evaluation programs on districts that don't necessarily have anything to do with reality, just take X% for test scores and X% for this and that. It's very arbitrary, and that's the whole thing about an evaluation process, which why you're taking the time for, because there can be so many unintended consequences when you set up a new system. And I also think that, you know, the facilitation by the county, the collaboration between the district and SDA is important. It would be very difficult to come up with a great teacher evaluation system based on just a back and forth collective bargaining over details. But I think you're coming up with a system that's going to be helpful to teachers, to students, and parents, and everybody in terms of understanding what's going on. So thanks a lot for that.
Dr. Whiter-Spain?
A couple of areas. First, well, I'll do that later. Gage, I think you've captured what we're trying to do in both the Morse and the Lincoln clusters. And your school systematically put a plan in place. Maybe it was inadvertently at the end, but the whole notion of growing your enrollment by a plan. I mean, strong principals, strong instructional leadership team, marketing, bringing in, you spruced up the campus, you made it, desirable. You brought in the business, the military community, parents, everybody got on board. And to see the growth, and that's the prototype for the district. We keep talking about enrollment, but I had a parent to say, a grandmother to say to me this week, why would I want to put my kid at that school, my grandchild at that school, when someone pointed out early, it's not clean, it's dirty. The news is that it's not progressing, etc. There's nothing happening, it's bland, it's blasé. But you went right there and you started working on the issues. And it wasn't all from the district. I think there's a perception that the district has to do it for you. But your school, you and your instructional leadership team, which is a common theme I'm hearing from these successful schools. The instructional team is on board. You're working together as a team and not as a here and there, we're all together. This boat is going one way with all of us in it without someone feeling like they have to be the only one to have the authority or whatever, which is a nice segue to the evaluation piece, and I commend you on that. And I just want to say that you guys have done a great job with this, because if you look at evaluation not as a got you, but as, I say it often, but I don't think any teacher gets up in the morning and thinks, how can I go and screw these kids today? I think it's about they really don't know what to do. And I think that if we can find a way to work together collaboratively with everybody putting their all into it, that we can help all the children that way. Because not everybody has the answer. When we don't have all the answers, there will be some trial and error on some of these cases that we have, which then leads to the evaluation piece. I hope when you do the contract that you won't put in something that can't be changed as we go down the road or can't be modified. Because a lot of times, well, it says on line 9.3 or whatever it is that this is supposed to happen. But we need to be able to say, well, we didn't know all the parameters. We thought with the pilot that we had captured everything, but we need to be able to go back and look at that and say, well, maybe this was a case we missed. I'm not sure if I'm making any sense with that. But are you following me with the
Yes,
whole
we're
contract?
following, and I want to reiterate to the group, and one of the things we can do is change the narrative around this piece about evaluation. And so what we don't talk about is evaluation. What we really emphasize is growth and development from start through their career to the end of their career. This is about growth and development.
Good.
And so we can begin to utilize the narrative and change that narrative that goes to what you're talking about. That we can really examine this ongoing so it's not stagnant for 45, 50 plus years again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate all the work that you guys, all three of you are doing, and then of course, all the other people that you're representing. Kathy, you've done a phenomenal job of leading a massive transformation at your school. I remember when I first got elected to the board in 2010, we were puzzled because enrollment, some schools was down. Your school was, 300 or so, and it has a capacity of much higher. Marvin Elementary School was another one. Franklin Elementary School, and now those and many others are seeing parents are coming back to their neighborhood schools. And we've had this conversation for years. What do we need to do? How do we need to do it? And the key, something that we all know in education, are the teachers, the parents, and the leadership and the staff at the school make all the difference. And the programs too. And I really want to thank everybody in the central office and in leadership that have helped facilitate all the programs that you have, from reopening your library to supporting your running club to everything else that you guys are doing. The Spanish immersion is phenomenal. And we need to allow parents to choice in to your school, especially from other school districts where they don't have access to Spanish immersion, and make sure that we have as long as we have an empty seat, they have an invitation to your school and other schools. And we talked about this last budget cycle with the Language Academy, another example where we have more people that want to go to the Language Academy than we have capacity. And we've talked about this last year quite a bit, about that there's an elementary school that's incredibly under-enrolled near there, a couple of them, Clay, for example, that could become another Spanish immersion school so that we could meet the need of the families and what the parents and families are hoping for their children as they grow in our public schools. And I want to personally thank Lindsay Birmingham for all your years of service in SDEA and as the leadership. I know I speak on behalf of the board that we all respect you immensely. You're a tenacious advocate for teachers and for kids. And we really appreciate everything that you've done to help make San Diego Unified better. Thank you. Yeah, where's Stryker? Oh, good. All right, Superintendent Martin.
Thank you. We're ready to make a transition and shift to Goal 5. Thank you for your presentations and for your time today. And as we're switching to our fifth and final goal for today, family and community engagement with highly regarded neighborhood schools, we'll start with a quality school in every neighborhood presentation featuring Johnson Elementary and their principal, Dr. Tracy Jenkins Martin. And as she comes up to get ready for her presentation, she'll follow the same format that we've used for each of these, in that she'll tell us a little bit about how she's doing this work, why this school is being recognized as an example in this area, and then she'll go into how she's achieved this goal, and more specifically, how might others replicate the success that you see there. That's part of the goal of the CUSIN Awards, is not only identifying what makes this school earn this award, but by doing that, then we hope that others will be able to look at it and figure out how to replicate the success. And that's what we continue to talk about in capacity building, is how do we build something that's sustainable, that's long-term, that's replicable, and that's scalable. And CUSIN Awards allow us to look at the strategies that work, and hopefully other people will learn from you, Dr. Jenkins Martin, and see some scalable, replicable strategies that are working at your school right now. And you have the clicker, so you can click to the next slide where you have two slides for your one more. There you go. There's that, and your next slide is how you achieved it, and we'll replicate it. So you have two slides for your presentation.
Thank you. Oh, much better. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. I want to thank you for having me. Again, my name is Dr. Tracy Jenkins Martin, and I'm the proud principal at Johnson Magnet for STEM Elementary. Go Tigers. And on behalf of the staff at Johnson, I want to thank you for the opportunity to share the work that we have done at our school site. Throughout my tenure at Johnson, we have worked very diligently to increase our parental involvement. And over the past few years, we have really had some traction in this area. And our goal is to work very closely with all of our stakeholder groups at the school site, which includes our community, our education partners, and our students and their families. We offered varied opportunities for our parents to be involved at Johnson. We begin our parental engagement and involvement conversation every year by assessing the needs of our families, gathering teacher input, and by talking to parents on the blacktop. We get lots of fantastic information that way. Even though we have parents who don't necessarily want to be on SGT or ILT, School Site Council, site governance team, they still want to give their input. So I get a lot of parents coming up to me on the blacktop and having those informal conversations. I get some input that way, and they can feel like they're involved as well. So wherever we can get input for how to help parents feel welcome at our school site and give them ways to help their children succeed at Johnson, we try to implement it as much as possible. Our community partnerships are very important to our school. We have developed strong partnerships. One that I'm going to highlight, for example, is our partnership with the Diamond Excellence in Education Partnership, also known as DEEP. This particular partnership has not only been very fruitful for providing academic supports for our students, but has also enhanced the parent participation at our school site. The goal of DEEP is to help schools by giving training to our teachers and parents in the area of literacy. The main goal is to help students become literate readers by the end of grade 3. And we work very closely with DEEP to enhance our work each and every year. Through DEEP, we are able to provide weekly meetings throughout the year for our parents. There's almost something going on every single week through the DEEP partnership. And the topics of these meetings are designed to provide wraparound learning opportunities for parents to help their students at school. And these topics include parenting skills, the importance of attendance each and every day, how to keep your child healthy with local pediatricians coming to the school site to give information and to answer questions for parents. And parents also, of course, learn about the reading strategies, but we wanted to expand the horizons a little bit to not only just talk about the reading strategies, but to other topics that they might feel are important. We also schedule Family Fridays throughout the year, which takes place in our classrooms. Teachers work with real-time content and strategies so that parents can help their kids at home with the same strategies students are using at school. So how many of you have kids at school that say, that's not how my teacher does it? Okay, so the purpose of that is to help parents get some of the strategies and kind of make them parallel so that there's less tears at home. We have other opportunities for parents to come to school, and we have encouraged parents to participate in at least 2 a year, although most do more than that. These parent involvement opportunities include the PTA. This year we started a Cub Scout troop, which boys are really excited about, and girls, as a matter of fact. Volunteers for field trips and to be classroom readers, parent-teacher conferences, student-led conferencing, lunch with mom, muffins with mom, lunch with dad, donuts with dad, Grandparents' Day, and special school site lunches like our Western Barbecue, which is happening tomorrow, and award ceremonies. But our award ceremonies aren't just for our kids. We also reward and recognize our volunteers and our families who record and turn in the number of books that they read each month with their students in any language. They get badges for reading 50, 100, 150 books, and so on. And they get to wear their badges proudly on their lanyards around school. And the parents are very proud of their reading achievements. And we know at Johnson that by offering a broad range of ways that parents can volunteer or be part of the school campus is integral to the success of our students. It enhances student achievement and social emotional needs of our kids in positive ways. And this work is very replicable. It takes dedicated people inside and outside of our school campus and a lot of planning. We are very proud of our work with our parents and our students. So when you see up there, the first thing is hard work, hard work, hard work, and planning. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for helping to bring this goal alive so we can see what it looks like in action.
Hi, sorry. My name is Pamela King, and I am the Program Manager for Family Engagement Department, and it's an honor to be here presenting to you today. And you can't see it clearly, but this is our mission. So our mission and vision are actually aligned to San Diego Unified School District 2020 vision. And so our mission is what we ground our work in. And we are committed to providing resources, research-based practices, and learning opportunities to effectively engage, equip, and educate all parents to increase family engagement and support student achievement. Our vision is what we are striving toward, and that is we are building trusting relationships and creating collective learning environments to actively engage and empower families in the educational process. So we believe families and schools are valued and trusted partners, and we who are committed in the who are shared in the commitment to and responsibility of educating our children. So we know parents cannot become partners in supporting student learning if they don't have the insight into what the academic and developmental goals are. So to keep families informed about current research-based best practices and resources to help them support their child's learning at home, we develop high-impact home strategies. So what are high-impact home strategies? Well, they are research-based best practices linked to student learning. Why do we have them? Well, when utilized by parents and caregivers at home, they have been proven to have significant impact on student learning and academic achievement in school. So these strategies, which are linked to the learning, are designed to actively engage parents in the academic process, and they teach parents the how-to and to engage with their child academically. So additionally, it allows the parents to speak the same language that the academic language that teachers are speaking to the students in the classroom, as well as provide parents with tools to support their child in the mastery of the Common Core state standards. And these are grade level specific standards that students are expected to know and be able to do independently by the end of the school year, in whichever grade that they're in. So this is the data for the current data for this year. So as of today, our data illustrates that we've taught 1,231 parents high-impact home strategies during our Family Action Team meetings at 43 school sites. So we call them Family Action Team meetings because we're working collaboratively and cooperatively as co-teachers and co-learners in a collective learning environment to put best practices in action in order to enhance the achievement of all students. So this is another data slide. During our Family Action Team meetings, we collect data from our parents or the caregivers or the families about their learning. So you can't really see it up there, but the question asks, says, I learned something valuable today that I can use at home to support my child. So they have an option. They can say strongly disagree, somewhat, agree, or strongly agree. Parents have agreed or strongly agreed, and that's what that pie chart is showing, that they've learned something valuable at home that they could use to support their child learning. So we have a video that's going to be shown here. It's actually a grandmother who has custody of her grandchild, and she's sharing her reflection after she participated in one of our Family Action Team meetings. So it has had a huge impact on the learning and the engagement of the parents and our caregivers of our students. So I'll continue just for time's sake, and then we'll catch up with it. Okay, so this year we've taught the high-impact home strategies in various ways. And so although our department name has changed, we're continuing to provide those services to families as we're in year 2 of implementation of the LCAP goals. And so what we're going to do is we're going to dive deeper. We're going to go more in depth to ensure that we're meeting the needs of our parents and our families and exceeding the expectations and, of our mission and vision to increase family engagement as well for the support student learning. So the slide that you're going to see is actually going to show the practices we put in place, how we taught the high impact strategies this year, and how we're going to continue that for the next year. And so the only elements that we would be going deeper into, like really how to increase parent engagement and listening to our parents, we're focusing on building parent efficacy. And that's like really the belief that the parents have in their ability to effectively parent or be engaged in the child's learning or educational process. So we want to make sure that we are building and equipping our parents and empowering them. So we're going to focus on that element, as well as being more visible, like what we offer, the resources, really getting them engaged in these high-impact home strategies, school-wide events, back to school, resource fairs, parent meetings. We're going to be there, and Family Fridays. Okay. And I'm hurrying along because of time's sake. Okay. So although we have how we communicate and assess the high-impact home strategies in 2017, 2018, we're going to continue those as well. So you can see that we're still providing those services. However, we're just going deeper to make sure that we're really fully engaging our families and empowering them and building our parent leaders. And so we're going to dive deep into holding on to how to engage those parents to support student learning. The resource developed to support families, you can see the comparison as to last year and what's going to happen in the upcoming year. We're going to continue that. However, we're going to add a podcast component to it where departments and schools can actually share how they launched the high-impact home strategies. And so we'll still have the videos, the bookmarks, the posters, but we want to add another element to just go a little bit deeper to ensure that parents are having access to the high-impact home strategies. And another important component of this is our partners. So you can see the partners that we've had in 2017, 2018 with the San Diego Public Library, the United Way, Lakeshore. We have the committee, the Latino Del City Heights committee, as well as our partnership with the Mexican Consulate. We're going to continue those partnerships, but we just added on another partner with Literacy for Success. And they are partnered with the library, that 1,000 books before kindergarten, getting high-impact home strategies in their hands at an early age. Because parents are reading to their kids, getting them engaged, and so we can already, before they enter into kindergarten, have some strategies that they're putting in place, as well as we add a Plaza Communitario program. That's actually an adult reading program, and we're going to infuse the high-impact home strategies to those parents in that program as well. And another phenomenal partnership that we have in collaboration is with San Diego Education Association. We partner with them for the parent-teacher home visit. And so I present to you Ms. Lindsay Birmingham, the president of SDA.
So this is another exciting partnership that we've had over the past few years as we've built and tried to expand our parent-teacher home visit project in San Diego Unified. It started as a very small grant we got through the California Teachers Association for one school, and we're now working to expand that to multiple schools within our communities. There we go. So what is a home visit? A home visit is a positive relationship building experience. It's non-evaluative. It is meant to really build strong partnerships, relationships with our parents and our community. What it's not meant to be punitive, and it's not meant to be selective. The goal of a home visit is to allow that opportunity for all of our parents, our students, and our families. It's not to just reach out to those kids that are having attendance issues or those kids that have behavior issues or academic issues. It's really to reach out to every student, figure out who they are, what they need, what they want, what their hopes and dreams and aspirations are. So, why do parent-teacher home visits? Really, it's a proven strategy that we've seen across the nation. We've learned from Sacramento City, we've learned from Minneapolis, St. Paul, we've learned from places all across the nation where it's been shown to improve attendance, to build trusting relationships, stronger partnerships. It helps stakeholders to grow, to bring more people into the school community, and really to have a deeper understanding, really to collectively understand the goals that we have for student success. So it's not just my goal as an educator or a parent's goal as the parent, but really coming together to have unifying goals where we can work together to support our students. Who participates in the parent-teacher home visits? Often, the outreach and communication starts with the teachers and also the students. We encourage the students to be part of the conversation. There can also be key staff members. We often know that there are, our teachers don't always speak the languages of the homes they're going into. We might bring a classified staff or an administrator or someone else who might be able to translate. Somebody who might have built a positive relationship with that student already or knows that family already, and they're able to help with that relationship building, as well as parents and other key family members that are part of our team that we want to build to support students. Home visits are also fast. They're meant to be a half an hour visit, not to be there for the entire day. We don't want to be intrusive to our families, but a quick visit, especially that initial visit. Quick visit, build relationships, and hope that that turns into ongoing relationships and future visits that will continue. It's inexpensive, but it's also replicable. We're able to replicate it at schools across our district, and we're able to do that by engaging our families, our educators, and our students all as part of this team. When do the home visits happen? It's really up to our families and what works for them. It's going to be hard for us to do a home visit in the middle of the school day, I'll be honest. So most often the home visits happen in the afternoon, the evenings, sometimes even on the weekends. We have to give ourselves time in order to work on that scheduling. Make those phone calls, figure out what's going to work best for the family and the schedules of the home visitors. Where? We make sure it's not at school. We want to be going into their home or their community. We found that some parents might not be ready to open up their home. We've had home visits at Starbucks, home visits at the local library. Really, we want the parent, the community, the family members to be comfortable with us visiting and ensuring that it's at a safe place. Ultimately, we want to build that relationship so that they're comfortable welcoming us into their home. We can learn about them, who they are, their learning spaces they have for their children, and help support them in what they need. We've started using the high-impact home strategies. The FACE team's been supporting and helping parents to learn those, even as part of our home visits. And how? Very simple and easy. Send a letter out. We usually go through our site governance team first, so it's kind of a site-based decision. Send a letter out announcing this opportunity to our parents, to our students. We schedule those, and then during the visit, we share our hopes and dreams, our openness to learn from one another, what resources there are available to help support the students and their families, and then always have a follow-up. Always ensure that we can answer questions that they might have had, follow up with them, and ultimately we would love for this to be a district-wide program where there would be the opportunity to visit our students and our families multiple times throughout the year to build those relationships.
There. My name's Sylvia Porras. I'm one of 5 area resource teachers for family engagement. We've partnered with teachers and we've also attended many home visits. And I'd like to show you a video of a recent home visit. One of the things that we encourage the teachers to do is to support the parents in their academic development of the child. So here, after the teacher demonstrates how to use a high-impact strategy, the parent's going to try it on. That's what you're going to see in the video, and you'll see her referencing to the high-impact strategy bookmark. And it's just a little 2-minute video.
Stop Christmas from coming. for tomorrow he knew. He has to still work. Tell me more about what I just read to you. Stop Christmas from coming, for tomorrow he knew. He has to still work. Tell me more about what I just read to you. Big one's just tapping his finger. He's thinking what to do to take away. Okay. Okay.
So there, it was clearly illustrated that the child and the parent's ability to use the strategy successfully. I'll continue. So what does the future hold for the year 2 implementation of the home visit project? So we are going to continue training more teachers at different school sites and continue supporting the trained teachers. This will help build relationships and capacity between the school and the home. It's okay, I'll keep going. There it is. So here's some of the current data for the year 1 implementation. And I'd like to note that our home visit training occurred at the very end of January, beginning of February. So in only 3 months, we were able to complete 51 home visits. And that number is going to continue to grow because a lot of these schools were year-round. So they're still continuing visits today. These are the schools that were part of the pilot, the schools listed right there. And to strengthen home-school relationships, now I have the pleasure of introducing 2 very special people. They've run an exemplar program that could be replicated in other schools, and it demonstrates how families, schools, and communities share responsibility for the learning success and development and well-being of all children. It also shows how establishing trusting relationships and partnerships can enhance student achievement. Oh, let me go back. Okay. So here's Ms. Delia Contreras and her principal, Jason, from Hoover High School. And she's going to be speaking in Spanish. Simultaneously, we're going to have
Good afternoon. I'm going to be interpreting for Ms. Contreras this afternoon.
Estoy temblando.
I'm shaking.
Pero pues aquí ya muchos me conocen y yo soy yo, ¿verdad? Y voy a hablar como soy yo.
But a lot of people here know me and I'm myself, so I'm going to speak the way I do.
Okay, pues muchas gracias. Alguien nos miró a nosotros, que somos el Comité Organizador Latino de City Heights. Allá están las mamás, parte de los miembros del comité.
So thank you very much. We are the Comité Organizador Latino de City Heights, or City Heights Latino Organizing Committee, and the moms who are members of the committee are right over there.
Y pues estamos muy orgullosas que alguien pensó en nosotros, en venir a hablar aquí en frente de todos ustedes.
And so we're very proud that somebody thought about us coming to speak in front of you today.
Y como tengo el tiempo bien cortito, pues voy a hablar rápido.
And since my time is very short, I'm going to speak very quickly.
Pues nosotros, nuestra misión para estar trabajando aquí en la comunidad de City Heights es muy grande, un compromiso muy grande.
So our mission to work in the City Heights community is it's a very big commitment.
Y es informar y concientizar a la comunidad sobre la prevención y obesidad y diabetes infantil.
And that is to bring awareness and information to the community about childhood obesity and diabetes,
Y estudiantes en vías de aprender inglés.
and for English learners.
Entonces, pues nosotros vimos que los niños, nos preocupamos que los niños tengan salud y que su educación sea de calidad.
And so we were concerned. We wanted the children to have good health and for their education to be quality education.
Queremos que crezcan en nuestra comunidad, una comunidad feliz, exitosa y contentos.
We want them to grow up in a community that is happy and successful, and also for them to be glad, to be happy.
¿Y cómo es que hicimos todo esto?
And how do we do all this?
Pues nosotros nos involucramos fuertemente en la comunidad de City Heights.
Well, we became heavily involved in the City Heights community.
Hablamos con los padres personas en la comunidad.
We talk to the parents and people in the community.
Les decimos cómo podemos atraer programas para ellos.
And we tell them how we can attract programs for them.
Y hacemos que participen en todo lo que nosotros, lo que ellos piden, ¿verdad? Que quieren que aprender del sistema.
And we tell them to participate in everything that they want to learn from the system.
Entonces nosotros, el compromiso que nosotros tenemos es ese, que nuestra comunidad aprenda, sepa, se empodere.
And so that is our commitment for our community to know, to learn, to empower itself.
Me gana la pasión, ¿eh?
And passion takes over me.
Entonces ni me acuerdo que él está aquí.
And so I don't even remember that he's here.
Entonces eso es lo que nosotros queremos, ¿verdad? Que nuestra comunidad aprenda, que conozca el sistema, que sepa que hay lugares que nos pueden ayudar a crecer, a aprender, a defender la educación de nuestros hijos.
And so that's what we want. We want our community to learn the system, that there's places that can help us to learn and to grow and to learn how to better our children.
Y eso nos ha ayudado a que nosotros, como comité organizador latino, podamos empoderar a nuestra comunidad.
And that has helped us as a Latino organizing community to empower our own community. Latino committee to empower our community.
Entonces, nos dimos a la tarea de buscar, aprendimos mucho del sistema.
And so we had the task of searching. We learned a lot about the system.
Tuvimos mucha gente que a nosotros al aprender cuando lo que es todo lo que, por ejemplo, que es lo family engagement,
And so then while we were learning, for example, what family engagement is,
nos ha ayudado muchísimo en programas para nuestros propios talleres.
and that has helped us a lot for programs, for our own workshops.
Tenemos asociados que también nos han ayudado a crecer. Tenemos que buscar los recursos también.
We have partners who have also helped us grow, and we have to search for the resources as well.
Y gracias a Dios nosotros, con tantos talleres que hemos tenido y hemos recibido de Family Engagement, hemos crecido y esa voz se la hemos llevado a nuestra comunidad.
And so thank God, with all the workshops that we have received from family engagement, we have grown and we've taken that voice to our community.
Sí sabemos que hay algunas cosas que en educación hacen falta, pero
We know that there's a few things missing in education.
sabemos que si nosotros buscamos los recursos y llevamos la voz de todo lo que nos ofrece las organizaciones, el distrito, Family Engagement, tenemos que darnos a la tarea de hacerlo, de buscar.
But we know that if we search for resources and we actually tell people all the resources that are offered to us from family engagement and other things, then we have to take the task of go searching for those things.
Y pues eso es lo que nos ha motivado a nosotros, este grupo de padres, de mamás, porque somos mamás, abuelitas, bisabuelas,
So that's what has motivated us, this group of parents and moms, because we're mothers, we're grandmothers, we're great-grandmothers.
a empoderar a nuestra comunidad. Nosotros damos talleres en la comunidad, pero a nivel Hoover Cluster.
To empower our community, we give workshops in the community at the Hoover Cluster level.
Porque nos dimos a esa tarea, a involucrar, de ir a cada escuela, a involucrar a esos directores que traigan a sus papás. Si no tenemos algo en nuestra escuela, ya empoderadas con lo que hemos aprendido, podemos ayudar a otros y seguir creciendo.
So we took upon that task of going to each school and getting the principals to engage their parents. And if we already are empowered, then we're able to continue growing.
Voy a mencionar algunos de los asociados que tenemos que nos han ayudado mucho.
And I will mention some of the partners that we have that have helped us a lot.
Tenemos Clínica La Maestra, San Diego Unified School District, Family Engagement, California Endowment, Price Philanthropy, Health Corp, el ACLU, City Heights Community Law Project, Casa Cornelia, Self-Help Credit Union, Mental Health America y Gold Art. Son grupos, organizaciones que nos han ayudado a crecer.
These are groups and organizations that have helped us grow.
Entonces yo creo que nada nos puede caer del cielo, tenemos que buscar porque ahí está,
And
ahí están las cosas.
I think nothing can fall from the sky. We have to search for them because the things are there.
Entonces nosotros estamos bien felices que tenemos un director en Hoover que nos ha dado una bienvenida a los padres y nos sentimos tan orgullosos. Nos gustaría que todos los directores de todas las escuelas dieran esa bienvenida a sus padres.
And so we're very glad that at Hoover we have a principal who has welcomed us, and we feel very proud. And we wish that every school had a principal who could give that sort of welcome to their parents.
Y pues no lo queremos soltar.
And so we don't want to let go of him.
Y queremos que, así como él nos dice, ¿qué quieren? ¿Qué necesitan? Díganme que estoy aquí para apoyar. Nos hace llorar a veces de toda esa bienvenida, de ese poder que él nos da a nosotros para crecer. Un día nos dijo,
And so he tells us, the same way that he says, what do you want, what do you need, how can I support you? Sometimes he makes us cry when he asks us all these things. One day he told us,
cuando encontramos unas personas así que nos ayudan, trabajamos con más ganas.
when we find people like that that help us, we work even harder.
Nos dijo un día, los respeto tanto porque ustedes, yo no podría irme a un país donde no conozco el idioma.
And he told us, he said one day, I respect you so much because I couldn't go to a country where I don't understand the language.
Y ir con sus hijos y luchar y trabajar y crecer y luego aprender el sistema y querer hacerlo.
And to take your children and to struggle and to learn and to grow and to learn the system and to want to do it.
Gracias Family Engagement que nos ayuda tanto y que hemos aprendido tanto, y a todas las organizaciones que nos han apoyado. Estamos muy orgullosos, el Comité Organizador Latino de City Heights que nos ha apoyado tanto, el señor Bill Oswald que también nos ha entrenado para defendernos, para defender nuestros derechos.
And thank you so much, Family Engagement, for helping us so much. We have learned a lot through all your help. And also to the Comité Organizador Latino de City Heights, or the City Heights Latino Organizing Committee. And also to Dr. Bill Oswald, who has helped us very much.
Con él nos ha entrenado a nosotros para saber y conocer mucho del sistema, y eso nos da mucho gusto.
And he has trained us to learn and to know a lot about the system, and that makes us very glad.
Yo no sé si hay directores aquí de las escuelas, pero ojalá que nuestra escuela sea un ejemplo para darle bienvenida a sus padres, porque eso es lo que necesitamos, que nos den esa confianza.
And I don't know if there's principals here, but I hope this will be an example to all of you to be welcoming to your parents, because that's what we need to give us confidence.
Pues muchas gracias.
And thank you very much.
Jason, do you want to say something?
Sure. Hi, I'm Jason Babineau, principal at Hoover, and I really came out of the spirit of being here for my parents and community members. I got the late invite, and I heard they were presenting, and so I wanted to come and support them. So I don't necessarily have anything prepared, nor do I have any magic tricks of what is working. I'm certainly, the way I look at it is, it's our job, and it's the right thing to do. Coming into Hoover, all I heard in July when I accepted my job was that the community, there were some rough times, and there was some fractured trust. And I'm going to be frank, I was intimidated. I met with Dr. Martin about community engagement, and I am a tall, white, privileged man who does not speak Spanish. And coming into the City Heights community and wanting to connect with our family and community was something that was extremely important to me. What I found is that simply by being present, by listening, by not only listening, but taking what our community and parents say, putting it into action, not just having coffee with the principals just to do it, just to say that it's on the website and that we're doing it, but to show our parents that what they are showing me and what they are saying about how Hoover can be better, showing them that I'm actually doing it, and that their ideas are part of the fabric of our school, I've found is making a huge impact. And again, just the right thing to do. It took time. It took time to build that trust. But what I have found now is that now that trust has been built, I certainly can't do it by myself at Hoover High School. We've got a lot of work to do. We've got a significant amount of work to do that unfortunately, what's frustrating for me is that I want it to be done right now because that's what our kids and teachers and community deserve, but it's going to take time, and I cannot do it by myself. This is a mighty group of parents and community members that I know are going to be a huge component of the positive change and transformation that's going to take place at Hoover High School. And I tell them all the time, I need you. I need you, parents. I need you to be a part of this process. So I'm honored to be sitting next to this group of outstanding women. I call my community member and partner here Abuelita because she truly is in my heart, the Abuelita of Hoover High School. And I'm so excited to start next fall. I've spoken with our parents about a retreat this summer, about really planning on what we can do and how parents can be, and community members can be more involved with the school on a day-to-day basis. And to me, it's just the beginning, and I'm so honored to work with these parents and community members. Thank you so much.
Okay, and this last slide actually just exemplifies exactly what we presented here today, how you can build those or increase parent engagement when you link it to learning, and that means that families are having the tools and the knowledge to support their students' academic and developmental goals. And you make it relational with the home visits, so we had to link it to the learning with the high-impact home strategies, and giving parents those key resources to help them navigate through the educational system. So having those relationals, building those trusting relationships, striving to make those connections between home and school with the home visits, working collaboratively, encouraging collective learning environments where they can connect and share their knowledge, and sharing the responsibility of educating our students, where it's interactive, where parents and teachers have multiple ways to communicate and establish those two-way communication channels. It's systemic. That means that the practices are presented across the school, so parents are engaged, and the entire school is engaged in the process. It's integrated. The practices are incorporated into different aspects of the school, so families are involved in every aspect of the school activities, and it's sustained, which means that the school has resources and tools to support this ongoing engagement. So we're listening to the voices of our parents, our school communities, as well as cluster stakeholders and district advisory committees stating that they want more parent engagement and to support the student learning. So we're just diving deeper this year and really having a framework which is based on the dual capacity building framework for family-school partnerships. And that's what we have, these principles. So we thank you for allowing us to present to you today.
Thank you. Really appreciate your work and your presentation and everything you do to help kids. Let's go to public comment at this time. We have 5 speakers, so 2 minutes each, starting with Jeff Bennett.
Hello, board and staff and everyone else who came today. The fact that we're here is a good point on this parent and community engagement piece of the LCAP. Though reviewing the LCAP parent and community engagement piece, I want to say I'm a parent of a student at Gage who Engage presented earlier, and it's a great community to be part of. One of the things I was slightly concerned about is under the enrollment options on the family, on this LCAP goal, it's talking about the sunsetting of the extended TK program. It doesn't affect me anymore, but my student was the youngest kid in the district last year. His birthday was the 27th of February, and he benefited from the extended TK program. And not only did he benefit, but a lot of his friends who were in that same class benefited. And talking to parents, a lot of them were in the process of choicing at the beginning of the year because you have to decide so early. And a lot of those same parents chose to stay at Gage after having their student there for the year because they got to see the quality school that it is. Some of these parents were looking at charters and private schools for their kids because they weren't sure if the neighborhood school would be offering what would be they were looking for, and they found that Gage was a great community and a great place. So I am concerned that ending that extended TK program, which was a draw for a lot of folks, might remove a separator from us. That's something that we offered as a district that gives people a taste of our schools, and when there's bad press and there's things like that, sometimes people get trepidatious, but once they get into a great school, they don't want to leave it. So I would really consider, again, perhaps the decision to remove that extended TK program. I would suggest extending it to other areas because I think it might do some great things for improving neighborhood enrollment. Is that my time? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for your comments. Guillermina Rice, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much for having us here today. My name is Guillermina Rice. I'm representing the parents at City Heights, and also I'm part of the Hoover Cluster Wellness Council that Dr. Joanne DeMartin, she works with us and the community in City Heights. And I'm gonna read our goal number 5. So the community at the Crawford and Hoover Cluster support goal 5 overall, but it finds generally vague and need greatly reference to the community engagement, in addition to the parent and family engagement. For example, regarding goal 561, we would like clarity about the communication strategies and structures so we can align them with how our community communicates and works to support implementation. Also, many points through the LCAP document refers only to families and leaves the community out. We as LCAP reference both family and communities to the degree possible. Additionally, we ask the district to add references to cluster efforts and their community partner organizations, as well as site involvement, not only references to the sites. We agree community voice stems from the school site, but engagement continues up through the district structures. Regarding 563, this action is good, but it would like to add for that Power School and Power School parent portal to reflect parent languages and also make a Power School parent portal available as mobile app to help bridges the Title I technology and communication barriers. I think that we are all here to, for the same goal, to speak up for our children. I'm a parent at City Heights, and but also I want to be able to advocate for all those schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy Redding. Amy Redding.
Amy Redding, Kearney Cluster, and I think probably I should clarify who is doing the input. It's not just me. It's teachers, parents, administrators, and some of our community partners, in particular the military liaisons that attend our committee meetings regularly. With respect to parent and community engagement, we need clarity around the role of FACE. Parents and community groups need to know whom to contact for what and what support it offers. Before you restructure FACE again, the district needs to meet with the parent and community leaders so the department can be a great resource and will be consistent for years to come. The community assistant the community assistant has been a great help at Montgomery. Kearney High School would like one too, so that we can also foster mentorship and drive up our graduation rates. We need better planned workshops with better promotion. Again, FACE should seek advice from parent and community leaders. And we need counselors that can help families find needed resources and help these families actually access them. Homeless families and military families in our cluster are in particular need. Thank you.
Thank you. Susie Reed.
Hi there, I'm Susie Reed. I serve as the DAC chair. I'm actually here in the capacity as parent right now because that's what I am. And also, I'm speaking to the LCAP because we haven't actually, as a DAC body, had a lot of updates on the LCAP. We are actually the designated body to receive to receive updates and provide official feedback, but we really only received one LCAP update this school year, so it's a little challenging to provide feedback with only one update. Parent engagement, I believe, will result, if we increase parent engagement, it will result in increased enrollment. District is suffering from a lower enrollment, and if we increase parent engagement, we're going to increase their desire to have our kids be in San Diego Unified Schools. I want a community assistant too in Point Loma. I think everyone should get one. You get a community assistant, you get one. The family engagement plans are mentioned in the LCAP, in the last year's LCAP, but it's not something that I've seen in reality, and I'm wondering why it's not a metric. If it's a family engagement plan, should be a metric. Other metrics to consider for parent engagement would be the number of parent volunteers and number of events that are actually, or opportunities offered each site. I know that there's a vague reference to providing opportunities, but actually having it listed would be helpful. SPSAs, the Single Plan for Student Achievement, which is what the school site councils oversee, they actually have goals for parent engagement. I'm wondering if those are making it to the Family Engagement Department, whether or not you're aware that those schools already have goals, and if we can expand on those or make those goals a little bit more robust. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. They've already got that there in place. LCAP engagement and review and feedback is also listed in the LCAP, and it is suggested that the development and implementation and review be overseen by the SGT. The SGT is not a trained body. I believe it should be the SSC.
Thank you. Marissa Alvarez.
Hello. My name is Marissa Alvarez. I come to you today as a program manager from United Way of San Diego County, and I'm here to support the Family Engagement Department. Being that I'm in a room filled with parents, teachers, educators, education professionals, I don't really need to go into detail about the importance of literacy and how it plays a role in our classrooms and our home. We all understand that parents and other family members are our children's first teachers, and few would deny the importance of building capacity of families to create a culture of literacy and learning across San Diego. This will be the second year that United Way and San Diego Unified Family Engagement Department have worked together to bring data-driven literacy enrichment to the City Heights community via the Summer Readers in the Heights initiative. Last year, the Family Engagement Department was essential during the Summer Literacy Initiative. They provided support to participating teachers in a variety of ways. Family engagement teachers supported by assessing all of the children using a running record, worked on a daily basis with teachers, participating teachers, to take groups of children that needed a little extra attention and put them in small groups. They also helped contact families to make sure specific paperwork was signed for educational field trips during Readers in the Heights, and provided family engagement workshops during the summertime. Because of our partnership, our data showed that children who began the summer at a grade or two behind in reading nearly reached grade level reading just in a 3-week period. This summer, the Family Engagement team will play a critical role in building capacity around literacy education through coaching primetime staff and offering parent workshops that focus on their high-impact home literacy strategies during Readers in the Heights. These collaborative efforts are evidence-based and have been shown to make long-term positive impacts on culture and academic outcomes in many of our schools. On behalf of United Way, I would like to thank the Family Engagement Department and hope that our work can be an example of how collective collaboration can positively change outcomes for children district-wide. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Board member comments or questions regarding the LCAP presentation? Dr. Evans?
I just want to make one comment today. When we've seen the different principles, I think it's interesting the last couple of presentations we've had, that it's really the parents that are lifting up the principal. We've had a couple others where the principals came in and talked about what they did, but the leadership at the previous presentation was nominated by the parents, and I think we can see here it's the parents talking in support of their principal. One of the things we said on the board a long time ago is that to really improve our schools, we want to have a really stellar principal in every school, and I think we're moving very much in that direction. In terms of the home visits that were talked about and the collaboration between the district and SDA, I think this is really great. I appreciated the fact that when it was talked about home visits, that there are other places to have home visits other than in the home. A lot of people don't necessarily want to have someone come into their home, but in a territory that's in the community as opposed to being in the sort of the environment of the school, which can be more uncomfortable or threatening to some people. And one thing I was curious about in terms of home visits was, I see a lot of this happening around high-impact strategies in terms of teaching young kids to read and so forth. What's going on or not with home visits at the middle and high school level?
Our first pilot school was actually Millennial Tech Middle School. And then what we actually looked at is also expanding to the elementary and high schools in that area. We have not expanded yet to Lincoln High School. It's one of those things that is based on resources and funding. So that's a key piece. But what we tried to do also with Millennial Tech and other schools surrounding that area, it's one of the areas we're going to be looking at to provide further training, is that we do want to look at the matriculation from elementary to middle to high school and how we can build the relationships between those, is because through some of our conversations with parents, we've heard, I don't want to go there because of this. And it's a rumor, it's not true. And so we really want to be able to build those conversations so that maybe 5th grade teachers are going out with 6th grade teachers, 8th grade teachers are going out with 9th grade teachers to build those relationships. That's kind of a vision for the future, but it will take training a lot of educators through middle school and high school in order to be able to expand that way.
Great, thanks.
Dr. Whiters-Payne?
I'm glad you asked that question because it was on my list also, and I'm grateful for that answer. I think the superintendent and some of us went out visiting last summer before school started, and I think you're right, Lindsay, that it would be great if everybody could just, in the whole district, just take 4 or 5 homes and just go and visit and introduce ourselves and thank parents for sending their children to allow us to work with them. One of the things, and it's more or less a statement, what you're really talking about is facilitating the homes, the parents, the grandparents as the support volunteer force for tutoring children when you're doing your program, Pam.
Yes, actually, in speaking with parents and working with parents and the caregivers, they want to support. We're equipping them with the tools, with the how-tos. We are not assuming, we're laying it out so they can speak the same language, building that capacity, and leveraging the playing field. So we really want parents to know that we understand, we're meeting them where they are, like we do the students in the classroom, basically. So we're here for you to support you with all the resources, wherever, and equip you so that we're building that parent self-efficacy and building those parent leaders. Have them more engaged, that's going to have a huge impact upon student learning and really the community as a whole, because parents will be our voices and empower the whole community.
Yes, and thank you, Delia. Thank you. We all know who you are, yes. Keep it up.
Dr. McQuarrie?
So we've talked about these 7 principles of parent engagement. It's one thing to see them, but it's another one and to hear them, but it's totally different to actually see and hear it in practice. And to have you here describing what you've been doing and how you've been doing that is so, so important. Many of the things you're doing are effective practices. We hope that we can raise them up and share them with other schools. Because it really is about building that confidence, that trust, that respect, that sense of being welcomed into the community that matters. So parents need to know that this school cares. Students need to know that this is a warm and safe and welcoming place, and you've been able to demonstrate that in a very, 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 very big way. What I see happening is not only the district connecting with the school, making sure that the school knows is an important element, but also then the school through their teachers, through their administration, other staff, then connecting with each other and building on that that sense of importance and urgency. Then it gets communicated through a number of interactions with parents. Parents then connect with each other. They then connect with their organizations and other community stakeholders, and you get this wave of warmth and understanding and support, and you're now riding that wave, and it's such a thrill to see and to hear about. And I also want to thank Amy and Susie and other parents who have come forward to share their observations. It informs us and it helps us to see the bigger picture. And I think it's exemplary of what you're doing. That our schools here in creating those community connections also show your level of integrity and your level of professional sincerity in making sure that parents know, students know that you really, really care. So when we open up these conversations, give opportunities for everyone to be key players, and then as we reach out to listen to what is happening and then have the ability to hear and then to respond, we see that reflected in our school plans. And then the school plans in the district LCAP then are a megaphone as well as a map in order to guide what we hope to happen within the next 2 or 3 years. So thank you very much for your for being here, your honesty, as well as your sharing of your effective practices. I think we've all learned a great deal today.
Okay. All right. I want to thank you all for what you've done, and especially for the partnership with SDEA on the Home Visits Initiative, especially the grant from CTA, which actually started this to make it happen, and hopefully we can continue to do so by identifying various resources. And I think that it's a very obvious difference between a third grade teacher and their ability to connect with the families in their class, because they have 24 kids or something like that, and a high school math teacher that has 180 students, and their time limitations and workload challenges to accomplish that kind of same thing. One thing just to consider, I don't know to what extent we've done this idea, is I know that there are some schools and districts that have gone to like a homeroom concept in secondary ed. So even though a high school math teacher might have 180 students, they maybe only have 25 students in their homeroom. And then each teacher in that secondary school builds a partnership and a relationship with their homeroom students and those families. So then, a high school teacher isn't, thinking, oh my God, I can never do this. So I need to target students at the bottom. And that means that students in the middle and the top aren't getting that family connection that we want to continue building those individuals. And so that way, just something to throw out there, just another idea. And I'm curious to hear how we're, looking at developing and expanding this to other schools across the district. Thank you. And then Deep, thank you.
I just want to say, I'm sorry, Dr. Tracy, because it is on my list. It's the end of the day. That's my only excuse. I want to say, though, you touched on the DEEP program, and the superintendent's aware of it. You're involved with those folks in the DEEP program. of implementing before school, before children begin school, they're engaged in this process with their parents to read 1,000 books. And every 50 books that they read, they're getting certificates and so forth. And your school and Choice Mead and Webster are involved in that. So we're really excited about that because we've got a lot of partners. And I think you're beginning a summer school program for a month in conjunction with them coming up soon too.
We have the Summer Readers, Future Leaders program at our school site. We've had that at our school site for 2 years. Choice has been having that as the pilot school for, I think, 4 years now. And so Webster students are coming to our school, and we're all going to be sharing in that knowledge together. It's a really strong program, as well as the Super Tuesday program. I only had a few minutes, but there's lots of other things that that partnership is really, really rich.
Yes. Thank you, and thanks for coming to share. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. At this point, we go to, I believe, public comment? Okay.
Thank you.
Due to our time constraints, each speaker has 1 minute. Dr. Joanne Martin.
Thank you to this team. These comments are now about the whole day in general, so thank you very much to the great team that just presented.
Some general points regarding LCAP. First, we encourage the district to continue the trend towards decentralization by organizing to give sites more direct site-based resources. Further, we see the need to include references to community as well as families throughout the LCAP. Community is critical to the establishment of a safe, nurturing, caring, and respectful school climate, and therefore wellness policy extends for their involvement. So LCAP would be strengthened by also recognizing this value. We support the intent to align LCAP with SPSS site templates so that site staff, parents, and community members see LCAP at the site level as part of their work too, not only the work of the district. Finally, for all LCAP action and services description within the plan, it would be helpful to the community of readers if points begin with by who will do the item. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy Redding.
Ha ha ha, I know you have 6 goals. Well-orchestrated district-wide support services and communication. Keep the positive media exposure flowing, particularly for my cluster. OLA has been helpful to Kearney with regards to long-term English learners. Kearney SET used centralized translation services this year for our homeschool compact, freeing up time for the Spanish teacher to actually do her job of planning lessons and teach Spanish. School websites need to be streamlined and attractive. And we need to find and implement a solution to our students with disabilities and English learners' quandary of instruction versus compliance. I also asked the board to make public the individual site strategic plans that we talked about earlier, and also from public to public servants, please never cut public comment. Saving 3 minutes isn't worth compromising our First Amendment rights or our democratic right to question our government. Don't become just like the other side that we all abhor.
And you still have time left. Melissa De Leon. Melissa De Leon.
Good afternoon. My name is Melissa De Leon. I am an education advocate and the equity staff attorney at the ACLU Foundation of San Diego and Imperial Counties. I have been engaging with stakeholders and parents around supporting the implementation of a funding formula that makes very real the promise of transparency, community engagement, as well as increased and improved services for high-need students. I'm concerned that the draft LCAP is missing information required by law, and that today's workshop did not fill in the gaps. So foremost, the district's website currently has a draft LCAP that fails to include the required annual summary, plan summary, description of stakeholder engagements, and plans for S&C funds. Although it is a draft, I express concerns also that the draft LCAP fails to adequately explain the allocations for supplemental and concentration funds, and that today's workshop did not illuminate the basis for those expenditures. I encourage the district to remedy these problems as required by LCFF regulations and the law.
Thank you very much for your
And I look forward
comments.
to seeing the adopted LCAP.
Thank you for your comments. All right, board member, any other board member comments or questions about the whole day, not just that last LCAP presentation? Okay, let's do it again next year. And once again, I'd like to remind everybody here today in the community that this is only one step in the LCAP process, that it's my understanding that by next week or the week after, we'll have all the pieces of the LCAP put together, including the funding and who and what, where, when. And then we're going to we will have then a tiny URL link so that we could push that out so anybody in the public can then go and view the complete and whole LCAP document. Superintendent Martin, I believe, has closing remarks.
Thank you, President Beiser. So as we complete today, we started the day with our important goal 1, closing the achievement gap with high expectations for all, and then we went into positive school environment, climate, and culture, and I talked about A squared and this idea of academics and agency, and if we're a district that creates the right conditions around agency, but the academics aren't there, we won't be delivering on some of the most important promises. And the flip side of that is if we have academics without agency, that's a problem too. It's both of these working in synchrony with each other. And I think what you got to hear today is that we prioritized the actions and services specifically based on the input that we received from parents, teachers, administrators, and staff in multiple forums throughout the year. And so we heard lots of validation of things that as we got input throughout the year, all of these input forms validated our leadership development work, building capacity of teachers and leaders. They wanted to see that continue, continuation of restorative justice practices, formative assessments, counseling, nursing, class size reduction, VAPA, support for English learners, enrichment, technology, safe and secure schools, and quality Tier 1 instruction. Those were things that throughout this year of feedback we had validation for, but then in developing going forward, we'll continue those. And then we heard from all of these multiple stakeholders that they wanted more focus on intervention support, greater emphasis on mathematics, cluster-wide vertical articulation, the universal assessments, more behavioral supports, more partnerships, the mental health and social emotional learning, and more access to STEAM and maker spaces. So taking all of that input, you can see what we developed here, and you heard presentations throughout the day around how we're going to take the things that were validated and how we're going to expand the things that we heard throughout this year that people want to see more investment in time in terms of our actions and services. I think a key theme is knowing our students by name and by need across the system, and some of the tools that we shared with you around specifically how we're doing this and how we're systematizing this and doing it across the district. As Sharon pointed out, don't forget about the individual child. We can put systems in place, we can have approaches and all of the right theoretical approaches, but does that translate to the individual child? And we believe the systems that we've built for principals to lead that at the school site level allows us to go down to knowing students by name and by need, and the fact that we're not just focusing on what we're teaching, but specifically how are we teaching it? Are we changing the learning experience in the classroom? Are we focusing on key areas and key student groups? African American students, students with disabilities, English learners. We can look at whole group, and then we can look at small group and by student to make sure we're designing learning that's relevant and meaningful. It warmed my heart to see Hoover Cluster here and Delia and the parents. What we see coming out of Hoover is just an example of what happens from a ground-up strategy of families and communities and parents. It's been 5 years since I was at that Hoover Cluster table to see Dr. Martin still here leading the parent groups and actually seeing the parents leading themselves and seeing a principal alongside them. to empower them to be the agents for the change that they want. When we say agency in academics, agency is for our parents as well, and you got to see an example of that. I think what's most important in closing is to say these key goals, as important as they are, we've coalesced, we understand where we're spending our dollars, what metrics will go with those dollars, and then the outcomes begin to be clear to the entire community. The way you saw the partners gather around today, this work is now not just owned by leaders or by principals or by staff. The community now understands and is able to speak to and contribute to the goals that we've all shared publicly. Now we're going into several years of the same goals, and we can deepen and broaden and bring more people into contributing to those goals in really powerful and meaningful ways. As some of you commented, that it's not just ours alone anymore. The parents, the business leaders, the students all understand that what we're committed to and how to help deliver on those outcomes. And today was a day where we could go deeper. As President Beiser just said, the full LCAP, this is a user-friendly version, the full LCAP gets presented at the board meeting coming up in a couple weeks, or June 26th? I mean 19th, June 19th is the first read, and that's where it has the dollars and the metrics that go with it as well. But this was a day where we get to bring all the partners in and bring light to it. I'd also like to recognize the board for what you did in your most recent governance workshop. You all came up with an idea that we've implemented to have set up visits for you to come out to the school sites and see the LCAP in action. We try to make the LCAP come alive in our monthly presentations, come alive in this full-day workshop that we do each year, but each of you have signed up to go and see, let's say, student-centered coaching cycles in action, or you can see a parent training in action, and you've been able to actually see it out at the school sites, and we really appreciate that investment in your time and staff sharing with you so you can actually see this out in the field where it's occurring. So with that, I would like to close out today and say that I'm very proud of where we are and much work left to be done.
Thank you very much. At this point in time, this portion of the board meeting is concluded. However, the school board will continue meeting for another hour in closed session. We now go into closed session.